Hello, my name is Marcus and welcome to Tabletop Comparison, which today I'm having a look at Parks, and it's a recent 2025 second edition, original Parks from 2019. And this is gonna be a difficult one. So yeah, let me just real quickly recap what Parks is about, and I can just do it with both of them because the gameplay is very similar here. In Parks, you have two hikers that you are moving along a trail. And each time you land on the trail, you get some resources or you get to perform an action. And you are trying to assemble a bunch of resources to go visit as many of the national parks of the United States as possible. You will play over 4 rounds, over 3 rounds, to try and visit as many parks as possible, because that's where your cards are. Having a secret goal for yourself that you can use to maybe score a few extra points at the end. With each round having a different goal to achieve. In original Parks, not much a goal as something that is either restricting or aiding your game throughout each turn, but in Parks 2nd edition it is a goal for the end of every turn. And whoever has the most amount of points at the end wins. There's a fairly simple version of both games. There are of course changes to it. But let's talk about first of all those gameplay changes. In Parks, the trailhead gets larger and larger for every round as you play across 4 rounds. In 2nd edition, I should probably say 1st and 2nd edition instead of Parks and 2nd edition. You play 3 rounds and the trail is equally long every single time. It doesn't change in length. So what does that mean for you? Well, it means in 2nd edition, it feels a lot easier to get to visit the parks, whereas in 1st edition it feels more like an achievement. Like you're not going to visit as many parks in 1st edition as you did in 2nd edition. Definitely not, even though there's an extra round. Just because resources are more limited, you are going to have a little bit more of a difficult time to get around to actually visit the parks. But those are two different feels for that thing of visiting the parks. Both work really fine. The other part is in Parks, there's an end of round goal every time where you have something you get as a reward for doing good on the specific goal. While in Parks, it's just something that can either hinder or aid your gameplay, like every park costs 1 less tree to visit. This space gives this as well, whatever. And both things work really great. It's actually in 2nd edition one of the few things that I sort of missed from the 1st edition. I think it was a lovely little fun thing to have throughout the 1st edition where like, I wonder what's going to happen this round. Where in this one you have a clear goal for 3 rounds, you know what you're trying to achieve every single time. So it's more of a fun, so it is a little bit more fun in 1st edition because you are, you know, I wonder what's going to happen, oh that's funny. Or whilst in Parks edition, yes, that's how I sound when I think something's funny. Whilst in 2nd edition, it's, you know, this very strategic of those are the things to try and achieve. Do those hang together, or should I just focus on 1 or 2 of the rounds? With the 3rd round being some extra scoring. You also have the endgame goals, and this I think is done better in your private goals, your personal goals throughout the game. And I think this is done better in 2nd edition. You have these passion cards which says either you need this amount of a resource on visited parks or this amount of visited parks with this resource. That's usually what happens. There's one for gear cards as well. And when you flip it over, you either get a gear upgrade thing where it's like this costs a little bit less to visit these parks for this, or scoring where you score some points based on the goal. Like I had one where I need to visit 3 parks which cost trees, and then at the end of the game I could score a point for each of these parks. I ended up scoring 4 points for it. Pretty fair. I could also have chosen that parks cost less trees to visit, so maybe that would have been a viable option if it was a little bit earlier that I got it. While in this one it's always, you know, parks with these or these resources, sometimes with pictures, and score this amount you get 3 points, this amount you get 5 points, right? And it gets a little bit more difficult to achieve these goals throughout it, 1st edition, and you are getting a little bit more stressed about it. In 2nd edition it always felt like I was going to achieve this. I wonder what I should choose when I flip the card over. So that feels a little bit better in 2nd edition. And generally speaking, I think a lot of what 2nd edition does is better than in 1st edition. This thing of keeping the trail the same size, just shuffling up the tokens, so the order of it is always different. I think it's a little bit better than than adding one every turn and it being a random one, because first of all it does more to the setup in between rounds, but it's also just You always know what you have in second edition. I just really like that a lot better to just go through. I wonder what the order is going to be. That's what I'm going to have to react to. Not like, I wonder which card is going to be added. Is it anything useful or not? You know what's there, and you can sort of plan ahead, and hopefully it works out when the cards are reshuffled. Canteens in second edition also a lot better. In first edition it's a card, and you put the water in a card and it does something. In this one you have a part of your board that is that, and that is the canteen. And then you have round markers that you place down. You can place 2 at the same spot, achieving 2 things in one round. In this one you do have, in second edition you do have to, as soon as you get water, decide is it going in my canteen or in my backpack as a resource. Whilst in first edition you can always take from your resource pool into your canteens. So in that way, that is a little bit better in first edition, but second edition makes you take the choices and also makes those actions a lot better because you can activate 2 at once. And sometimes it's like one of them you activate is a water, so you can use that water to activate the next ones. I have seen one of my mates, he did like 2 of his canteens almost every time he got the water because it just gave him some wild tokens in the water and stuff. Really worked out great for him. That's what you could achieve in second edition with those. You couldn't do that in first edition. It's more limited, more difficult to get going. Do you like that better or not? I don't know. The way the pictures work is also a little bit different. In first edition you have a camera, which at the end of the turn, if you have it, allows you to take a picture, an extra picture. Whilst in second edition you have the shutterbug, which if you have that one and you then get to an action that allows you to take a picture, you're then allowed to take another one once per turn. So a little bit similar, but in second edition it does open you up to taking a few more pictures. Because in first edition you have to have it at the end of the turn, and that can be a little bit difficult. Once in second edition you just need to have it when you activate this ability, so you can sort of kind of plan ahead for that. Also, getting it doesn't mean, you know, I have to take a picture to get it, like in first edition. You have to take a picture, then you get the camera. In this one you land on a certain space where the shutterbug is, and then you take it. But someone can easily take it from you by landing on that same space. So it can be a planning action to say, okay, I want to land here, get the shutterbug, get the tree, whatever, and then I want to go over and take a picture because I can take 2 pictures. Let's do that right now. It definitely becomes a planning thing like that, with it making it a little bit more strategic. Opposite in this one where you have to actively chase it a lot more. Again, it sort of depends on what you like. Overall, so those are some changes that I'm going to point a little bit out here, because in retrospect they are very identical. They play the same. They have the same goal. There's just a few changes into second edition. You know, the way the passion cards, the way that the round goals work, the way the trailhead works, the way the pictures work. All these things combined in, I have to say, as a game, second edition is better. It's also reflected in my review last Saturday where I gave it a 10 out of 10. Park's first edition is a 9 out of 10. It's just that little bit better, making it such a great experience here. The difficult question I'm being faced with is, I can't keep both of these. I have to sell one of them. And that is a difficult one to answer for me. Which one do I want to keep? As I say, the second edition is a bit of a better game, but it's not much better. I could easily play first edition and be very happy with it. And especially with the wildlife expansion in it that I have here. It's a really great game. I really love it. I could easily play this one and be happy. Second edition is a little bit better. And that's where the difficult thing comes, because sure, second edition is better in a more easily accessible box and stuff. First edition is one of the first game I bought. It was basically Take the Ride, Wingspan, Parks. So it's really been with me for a long time. It's always been on my shelf. And the nostalgia really kicks in. I've been racking my head for a long time over which of these games is it that I want to keep. I've been playing them a little bit, checking it out. And it's just been, you know, which one am I going to be choosing of these games? Which one will be the one that stays in my collection? It's been a difficult one to rummage through. I also said it in the review of Parks here. I'm not sure which one I would pick at that point. And I've really been thinking about it. And, you know, I have to say, I'm going to go with the one that is a better game. Parks second edition is a better game. The trail, as I said, works better. The canteens work better. The changes that are in it are made with care for the game and with an upgrade in mind for the game. And they also clearly took the 2 expansions and fired them into the second edition, but making them better. I did not like Nightfall and how the tents works there. I like how the tents work here. And you have the parks in this one, having the, when you visit it, you get something, instant, simple thing, which is also just expansion for first edition. So yeah, first edition is a great game. Really is, have always been on my shelf and been one of my favorite games. But a second edition is meant to overthrow the first edition, and the second edition of Parks does do that. So what I would say is, if you want a good game, both of them are great options. Second edition is a bit better. So yeah, I think that's the conclusion. That is the Tabletop Comparison. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next one. Bye!